What made you come into the ministry? What drove you to that?
I got to go all the way back to junior high school. When I was 14, I started using drugs. By the time I was 17 years old, I was a drug addict. So from 17 to 21 years old, I just made a mess of my life. I wrecked my life. And I had been exposed to church, in and out of church. Growing up, my mom was a God-fearing woman, loved the Lord. So she was always praying for me. And when I was 21 years old, really the bottom fell out of my life. And I was in and out of treatment programs and just trying to get my feet underneath me and couldn't seem to do that. I checked into a treatment program for the last time in October of 1998, and I was married at the time. And I asked my wife, I said, can I please give it one more shot? And she was gracious enough to allow me to do that. She wasn't on board. She didn't know she still wanted to be with me, but she allowed me to do that. And I graduated out of that program, and the day that I graduated, I used drugs the same day that I got out. And this was 48 days into this program, and I knew everything was on the line. I knew that my wife, if she found out, she would be done. I knew it. So I hid it from her, and I faked sleep, all night long, and, played the game, pretended. And the next day, my mom came over to my house. I was out on my back deck, and I was smoking a cigarette. And nobody knew I'd used drugs, not a single person. She walked into my house, came out to my back deck, and she looked me in the face and she said, "Don't play games with God." And she turned around and she walked out of my house. And that day, I felt like God himself was speaking to me through my mom. And I started going back to church. And the great thing about that is that when I walked into, this is still the church I'm a youth pastor at now. When I walked into that church, you have all this fear. You think people are going to judge you. So I thought, man, when I walked back in the doors, all kinds of judgment, because people know my business. But when I walked back in the doors, it was not like that at all, man. I was overwhelmed with the love and the encouragement and the people that just came up and hugged on me. And it changed my life. It changed my life.